Hey there guys, if you want to support the channel and get access to our exclusive Discord community of Ruler School, which provides tons of great community content, including exclusive game nights, giveaways, and tournaments, go ahead and check out the link down below and consider supporting the channel on Patreon. Thank you guys so much, and enjoy the video. Hey there guys, DMO73 here, back from Worlds finally, and bringing you a feature match. Today I am playing white-blue Golems with Pandora versus David Kuras, who is playing a white-blue-green Flute Control list. Very interesting, lots of draw power, and makes use of the fact that Flute can draw a million cards to make cards like Ice Dragon and Altea easy to cast, and then kind of run your opponent over and cancel everything they do. Whereas blue-white Golems is just stick a bunch of Golems and then kind of use the water to kind of facilitate the kind of slow start the Golems kind of have to make sure to keep your opponent's board a little bit clearer, so then you can flip Pandora and push through for finish the game off. I'm going to be going on the draw here as I have lost the die roll, and for those of you who aren't aware, the way it works now is if you lose the die roll, you go second, so you don't get to choose anymore if you win the die roll. So let's go ahead and just jump right in and see how it goes. See my opening hand here, so I have a couple of the one-drop Golems, deciding whether I want to keep both of them or just keep one. Make the decision to keep just one of them, thinking hopefully my curve is a little bit better. You also see I have alternating current crystal in there. Reason why I have that is so that I have fast, cheap ways to bring out the big Golem Atmos without having to sacrifice my guys, as well as turning on all of my Golems. Plays that Flute's Water Dragon, then passes the turn. I'm going to go ahead and call for my first stone. Play out my Magic Light Warrior, who is, pretty standard here. He's going to use his Flute's Water Dragon to help him call stones so that Flute can let him start drawing cards. Next turn, if he gets up to 2 card draws, he doesn't lose that guy. He's probably going to be able to cast that Flute, or a Dragon of Altea, which would be really good for him. A flyer is something very difficult for Golems early game to handle. I'm going to go ahead and energize out Conjure Constructs, which gets me 3 5/5 Golem tokens. I'm using some Kaijudo tokens, Kaijudo cards that I thought kind of best represented them. And because he has the Moodstar guy that can't take damage on my turn, I'd rather just not spend Pandora's ability to mobilize the 6/6. I'd rather just keep it active in case he decides to swing on my turn, or his turn for some reason. So I have that 6/6 to be able to block with. He is going to pay 3 life for the Kaguya Stone and gets to draw a card, so he knows what the top card he's going to draw there off of Flute is, which is really nice. He's got that Severing Winds here, he's got a Ice Dragon, a Keys Call, and a Fair, so his hand's already starting to look like a lot of cancel spells, which is kind of nice for him. He pays 3 for that Ice Dragon, because he has 6 cards in his hand, other than Ice Dragon. I'll pay 3 life as well. I'm going to play Summon Magic Warriors to try to get even more Golems here. So I get to grab up to 2 Golems with total cost of 5 or less. I do have the Flying Golem there, but I think more importantly, knowing I'm against a control deck, I'm going to grab this Magic Sound Warrior, because it is a 5-drop. And so now, anytime he tries to cancel any of my stuff, I get to untap it, which means you get to kind of go on the offensive here a little bit. I can mobilize it, swing, and with Pandora's effect to mobilize it until the end of turn for free, it now just, I can swing to start the turn, and then if he tries to cancel any of the spells I cast to follow it up with, Magic Sound Warrior will untap and then get to swing again. So he has to be really careful there. Pays 2 to play Alice. He's going to God's Art for Atmos. He knows that he doesn't want to see an Atmos come out. Even though he's got the Keys Call, so it's not terribly difficult or terribly big of a deal, he'd rather just lock me out of it completely. which is probably pretty smart. With the alternating current crystal, I could just quick cast it in, because that's not technically casting the card. It's bringing it in off an effect, but that's still a lot of work, and I'd rather kind of play some other stuff. So he swings in with the Ice Dragon. Just going to go ahead and take the damage. I don't have anything to stop a flyer. Go ahead and call for a stone. Hit another one of my blue-white countdown stones here. So right now, like I said, it's better for me to try to swing with Magic Sound Warrior first, to then try to make it so that if he tries to cancel anything later, I can just punish it really hard, which is exactly what I'm going to try to do here. So I'm attempting to trade with the dragon. In response, I'm going to try to untap Dawn of the Earth, my Magic Sound Warrior, because at this point, if he tries to cancel it, I still get to do the untap effect, so it kind of just does the work for me. Sure, I lost Dawn of the Earth, but at the same time, I get to get that Ice Dragon off the board. And it is a trade there, which is not super ideal, but it is still something that I am okay with overall, especially since I followed up with a Golem. Now, he could have Severing Winds there. I don't necessarily really know why he didn't. Maybe he's trying to save it for something a little bit bigger, or maybe he just didn't think about it. But he has 2 Severings in hand. I think I just drew into another one, so I don't think it was necessarily something he really needed to not play. Maybe he was thinking about just trying to hold on to the cards, and the 8/6 isn't a big deal. But I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start possibly being able to just mobilize all of them with Pandora or that alternating current crystal. So he needs to be really careful, especially since the colors that he's in don't really have a way to deal with creatures that are already on board. So he uses Flute's Awakening to untap his Flute's Water Dragon. It is unsealed at this point, so it does serve as a nice little blocker, as well as an attacker. But for future turns, so something for him to be in mind of. I'll pay 4, get alternating current crystal out, so now all of those golems are mobilized, or at least attempts to, at which point he uses Final Breeze to put it back into my hand, because Final Breeze can cancel it while it's on the chase. It's a kind of a -1 for him, especially since he's not really putting a lot of pressure on me right now. Sure, that Ice Dragon did a lot of work, but now, once again, if he's not playing any form of board wipes, he's just going to have to deal with pushing in some damage. Now, he does have a lot of flyers, which is really nice, but he has to be careful not to swing with all of them at once, because otherwise he could get really, really hard punished. Just because I have so many golems, and Pandora could eventually flip over for so cheap. He's got a hand full of cancel spells and a second Alice there. Can't use the God's Art again. That's not how Alice works. You can only use it once, regardless of how many copies you play, which is a little bit interesting. I kind of wish you could play multiple. It would make the card significantly better. Passes the turn to me, though, without swinging in the air, which I'm not quite sure of. Now the Judgment happens, so all of these golems are now going to be active. I'm gonna pay 2, attempts to play another golem here. First card for the turn, so it can't be Severing Winds. No Keys' Call is important. He could Final Breeze it, but that seems like a kind of big waste. I'm gonna swing in for 8 at him. I'll swing in for 6 at him. I'll take that damage, go down to 31. And now remember, while Pandora is flipped, he's not going to be able to kill my golems from damage, because Pandora's just going to soak up all the damage. So just going to block with the Alice. And I'm going to send my other golem into the Alice, which will kill it. Now, Pandora would have taken 2 Alice hits at that point, but because the other damage that she had taken were like 100 from those Mooj darts, soldiers, she's definitely not going to die. Using the Flute Servant, Water Dragon to call for stone, and then getting another card off of Flute. Once again, handful of nothing but cancel spells. Doesn't really help when there's already an established board. like everything in his hand literally can do nothing against this field of massive golems. And this next turn I'm going to start being able to pump up all my golems if I need to with Flute, or with Pandora's sealed item, which is really good. Swinging for 5. He accepts that damage, goes down to 26. Swinging for 5. Accepts that as well, goes down to 21. Swing in for 5. Accepts that, goes down to 16. Swing in for, I believe I'm going to use the small golem because I would rather leave the sword warriors up. Pay 3 to play Conjure Constructs. Try to get even more golem tokens out of there. It's not a super huge deal. He's going to go ahead and just snapcast the to try to draw a card. The Millennium Bond, especially to help him try to draw a card. He really needs to dig deep because those cancel spells in his hand are not helping right now, and eventually he's just going to get overrun. Still drawing deep with Flute and the Water Dragon, still seeing nothing but cancel spells. You see his hand is like 3 Severing Winds, 2 Millennium Bonds. So he's going to use Millennium Bond here to try to draw more cards. Just draws into another Keys' Call, which isn't helping him at all at this point. So his hand, although it is very full, is literally dead. As long as I continue to just stick with the golems I have on field. To discard a Fairer spell and a Keys' Call at the end of the turn. For the upkeep, I'm going to go ahead and try to do Dawn of the Earth on one of my little 5/5 golems, make it a 7/7, make it a little stronger, just because I have the will to do it. He's going to go ahead and cast the twofold chant here. Oh, he Final Breezes it even different. I don't know why he wouldn't just twofold chant, because now I can recover and cast it again. Although he does have the Severing Winds to be able to enter that, definitely. Once again, swinging for 5, he blocks. Swinging for 5, he blocks. Swinging for 5, he blocks. I'll respond by pumping up all my golems +4/+4, killing the Alice, and then all my other golems just swing in, and that's the end of that game. It's 12, and then another 12 for 24. So, yeah, a handful of cancel spells. Even with all that digging, just did nothing to an established board, and we move on to game 2. He puts me on the draw again, which is probably fair enough for him. I have a pretty slow start, and if he hits cancel spells early enough to keep stuff off my board, as well as maybe a Flute's Water Dragon to help him keep drawing cards, then he's probably in a good spot. He does hit that turn 1 Water Dragon, which is exactly what he wanted to be able to start establishing. I hit my turn 1 Magic Light Warrior, which is my only turn 1 play this deck has. So he plays the Mood Dart here, which he does so that he can protect the Flute's Water Dragon, which is 100% fine, but it actually puts him in a weird spot to not be able to cancel my stuff. So once again, just like last game, I'm going to go ahead and cast that Conjure Constructs, get those 3 other golems out onto the field, so that later, if I need to, I can just quick cast, or just summon Atmos at will if I need to. You see, I do have that Atmos in hand, so I'll be able to answer something if necessary. He's going to pay the 3 life to do the Scry. See, there's that Ice Dragon on top, so he's going to use Flute to just draw into that right away. He's just going to go ahead and pass this turn there, which I think is interesting. He wants to keep the cancel will up. and not use the Ice Dragon, I imagine. I'm going to attempt to use my Summon Golems, or Magic Warrior spell, just like last game, and he's going to go ahead and cancel that with Twofold Chant, which is fine. Attempt to swing in with the 5/5, he blocks with the Mood Dart, nothing happens. So now he's able to cast the, because of that Flute draw and the draw for turn, he's able to finally cast the Ice Dragon for just 2. Unfortunately, doesn't really have a way to stop an Atmos if the Atmos was to come out, which is no good for him. Attempt to swing, hits the Mooj Dart. Play the Magic Sword Warrior. I'm still a little bit worried about the Keys call, so I'm kind of just waiting to try to mass a board here, especially with the Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic in my hand. I'm trying to kind of maybe bait out some stuff to deal with the Ice Dragon pretty effectively. This way that my Atmos is safer, and I can save it for maybe the follow-up one. Plays another Ice Dragon, like that one. Swings for 4. I'm going to attempt to make it a bear. He doesn't have anything in his hand at this point that can stop that. Even with spinning Aqua Soul, he'd grab the Twofold Chant, which would be a hard cancel if he wanted to use it because he's technically torrenting. And then he could follow it up by Severing Winds when I try to cast the Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic again, which is probably the best call. But at this point, all that would have done was he would have wasted 1, 2, 3 cards to stop a Charlotte's being cast twice, and then he would do 12 damage, which would cost him a lot. So he just goes ahead and lets it resolve and then saves the Charlotte's for later. So thankfully I'm able to turn it to a bear and then block with my 6/6 after mobilizing it with Pandora. So I'll attempt to swing 6. He blocks with the Mooj Dart. I'll sacrifice the 3. It's the first card for the turn, so Atmos gets to come out. I'll deal with the second Ice Dragon, or attempt to deal with the second Ice Dragon. With no Keys call, it being the first card for my turn, and having plenty of will, I'm pretty safe from every cancel I know that he has available to him. It's just a matter of if he's got the Keys call. The Ice Dragon is now off the board. I've got that 20/20, and again, I know his deck doesn't have a ton of spot removal, so it's going to be pretty hard for him to remove that from my field. I'll play the Alternating Current Crystal to try to get it mobilized immediately, and he makes the right call by Severing Winds in that. Calls for Stone with Flute's Water Dragon. Pays 4 for Charlotte. Unfortunately, it's still pretty small by comparison to my Atmos, but it is something that's like nearly impossible for me to remove except by using an Atmos. Even then, he's got 7 cards in hand, so Atmos wouldn't even be able to target it. For the upkeep, I'm going to attempt to try to make his Mooj Dart a bear. I'm going to go ahead and Twofold Chant it, which I feel like is probably the wrong call, because something like that might happen. And so now if he wants to use that Severing Winds on it, I just get to cast it again. He knows that because I've got the Remnant on it. So I'm going to go ahead and Judgment here. His Mooj Dart can no longer protect his field. Go ahead and swing for 20. He'll block with the 1/1 that will then die because it doesn't have an ability anymore. I'll try to swing into the Ice Dragon. He will block with the Charlotte, and then I'll swing in with my 8/6 First Striker. So the reason why I'm doing this is because it already has 6 damage on it now, so he's got only 6 cards in his hand, or yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. He doesn't have enough cards in his hand to suddenly he'll take enough damage to kill himself with First Strike first, so Pandora's not going to take that second hit of damage. Now what he could have done, if I'm counting correctly, even if he had tapped Flute to draw a card in response, he still would have only been at 7 cards, which would still kill it, because 8 plus 6 is 14. That'd be enough damage. So thankfully, I was still pretty safe there. If he had been at 7 cards, then he could have tapped Flute in response to suddenly pump up her to a 16/16, which would have killed not only my which would have not killed my golems, but it would have killed Pandora, because she would have taken all the damage from it, and his Charlotte would have survived. Playing a couple Mood Starts for defense, playing that Shrine of Idol of Magic to try to draw some cards. He played the Flute's Awakening to recover his flyer. Once again, though, it looks like his hand is quickly becoming nothing but cancel spells, which makes it very difficult to deal with a 20/20. Call for Stone, Pandora. I'll play 4 to do Alternating Current Magician, or Current Crystal. Sorry, not Magician. This is mainly so that I can cheat out golems more effectively. Especially things like Magic Sound Warrior or Magic's Water Warrior. So nothing happens by any of those. All of 3 of his blockers are easily able to deal with all 3 of my guys. But I've got that Alternating Current Crystal to try to flash in something, and it doesn't look like David is playing, or has been able to make use of Dawn of the Earth. I know he has them in the deck. We've seen them in his draws from before. Hits Flute, decides to pay, thinks about it for a little bit, and then I think decides to pay for the 3 life. Another Flute's Water Dragon. End of his turn, I'm going to go ahead and flash in that Magic Mage Warrior, seeing if he has an effect, response to the effect. Magic Sound Warrior comes into play, so now I can start making those really awesome plays with trying to bait out his cancel spells to get additional attacks. Swing for 12, tries to block. I'll use Zero's Magic Light on it, try to RFG it in response. Thinks about canceling it and then realizes that Magic Sound Warrior will just recover if I do. Gets to swing again and remove one of his little, take care of one of his little 1/1s as a blocker, clearing the path for Atmos. So he's just gonna go ahead and let the swing happen. Attempt to swing for 20. In response to the block, I'll attempt to make it a bear. And once again, just like a little bit more severely than the in-game one, he's realizing that those cancel spells are actually just hurting him because they just give me additional attacks. So he lets the Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic go through. See, that's fine. He's got that first block in. I swing for 6. I'm going to try to use Dawn of the Earth on Atmos, which would make him a 22, which would have it definitely lethal. He has to Severing Winds that, which then recovers my Magic Sound Warrior, who gets to deal 12 to David, taking him down to 10, and then Pandora finishes off the game by swinging in for that last 10. So there you have it. That is actually the match. I'm kind of surprised that Golems were able to do it. It's just a matter of White, green, blue don't really have a lot right now to be able to prevent do spot removal for creatures right now, so once the golem sticks, those cancel spells don't really help him very much. But huge thanks to David for playing, and hope you guys enjoyed the match. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to check out the channel later this week for the deck profiles. And until next time, this is DMO73 signing off.